So welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at a new release from PHALANX, and this is a game called 1941 Race to Moscow. Okay. It is designed by Vladimir Gumieny. I don't know. I apologize for the butcherization of the name, but this is a sequel to 1944 Race to the Rhine. If you've played that, you kind of know the style of game this is. And so the emphasis here is this kind of race to Moscow. This is a game about logistics and about efficiency and speed of movement. So whilst this is a historical themed game within a war setting, this is not necessarily what you would call a war game. This one you've got different army groups trying to basically race to Moscow. You have to think about it in that way. So let's have a look at what we got going on inside here. So we've got the rules, and this is a very big box. Okay, just know that kind of going into it. And this plays 1 to 3 players. Can it play one? Okay. Plays in an hour. It played just over an hour. We're gonna take a look at that because we played it 2-player. We've actually played a demo prototype copy of this like a year ago. So the rules, kind of as you'd expect, for modern rule books, very good, extremely clear, with a number of illustrated examples. So it's a very easy game to learn and kind of get into. We will lay the board out here. This will give you kind of more of an indication about what you're getting yourself into. Again, if you've played Race to the Rhine, you'll have an idea of what that looks like. Okay. So, geographically speaking, most of the time we would be looking at the board this way, where you've got Crimea and Odessa down there with Ukraine, and then up to here you've got Leningrad going up into, well, Finland's not on the board, but, and so you've got kind of Germany over here, Moscow, Russia over here, and it's pushing through all the way trying to get to Moscow. So the Germans start on this edge of the board and they're moving up this way, and so there's a number of these. You've got this kind of bluish area, a whitish area, and then this blackish kind of area as well, and it's divided into these different kind of army group sections of who can move. These are your kind of lanes of advance. So you got Army Group North, Army Group Center, and Army Group South, and you are trying to move, keep supply, build railroads to keep moving and keep the advance going. And the heavy train on the front should be an indication of what you should be doing in this, and we'll see more of what's in this game here. So most of the counters in the game, a majority of them, are these, which, it's Nord, Mitte, and Süd, which is north, south, and middle, it's all center, and it's these. You're going to punch these as circular, but they've got the railroads on them that you're going to be building into these spaces to keep the connections going. So you kind of advance on the ground, build railroads as you go, so that the supplies can come quicker to support your advance and keep the momentum going, basically. I have some control markers, and some of these halt markers, and some of these, I think these are victory point markers. I think. And you get I think for taking these cities, you're awarded victory points one way or the other. So we have a few play aids. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 3. I think this is a 3-player game, because you can play one of you's on each section, and it's a racing game. Who can kind of get to Moscow or get to their objective first is what you're looking at. So you've got Leningrad, Moscow, and Rostov down here as well. So play aids, very small, very simple. You got everything that you could do on your turn, movement rules, transport, supply rules, and kind of Soviet reactions. There's like a Soviet bot that, like, when you move, they'll react to you, and you can also, at least in, God, it's hard to remember, as the in Race to the Rhine, I'm playing as this side, and like I get the Russian card, and it's like place out this many guys, and you're like trying to put them on your enemies or like your rivals, so to speak. But then they're doing the same thing to you, and it's this back and forth, which is always, you know, a little bit of screw you in the game, which is always enjoyable. So we have some decks of cards here, bag of bags, and then you see very nice insert tray in here, and this one that has all the miniatures in it is separate and can come out, and we'll take a look at some of those here. That's all the various resources. So these are for your different kind of, what do you call those? I don't want to say theatres, that doesn't sound right, but fronts, northwest front, western front, southwest front, I guess that's what they're calling them. So you got your priorities for those. And I don't know if those are AI bots if you don't have enough players. That would be very interesting. But so we have here, these are going to be, so we got little Russian bee army. Oh, these have to be sorted out. Cool. So we've got these decks of cards, Zud, Mitte, and Nord. And this, you're going to draw these, and these have excellent, well here, we'll just look them over. Fully colorized, which I appreciate immensely. World War II historical pictures. And you're going to be drawing these, and it tells you kind of, these are things that you get, or things that happen to you. So Soviet bombers, so you lose fuel, for example, or you do some recon, so you get to take these two actions. Those symbols have mean things. Atlantic Charter. But the pictures on these are incredible. Phalanx does not mess around with their production value, I will say that. So we got to organize those, and there's more of these. More. We got these German ones, and then the more Russian ones as well for the Russian guys. But those the games, those are beautiful cards, by the way. Really enjoy those. And the last thing that we'll get onto here is the miniatures and the bits and pieces. So this is kind of what I've come to expect from Phalanx these days. Because there's tons of little pieces. So there's these tiny little tanks. These are very small. One's definitely a Panzer IV, one looks like a Panzer III, one looks like it's pretending to be a Panzer 38T. I guess the other one's maybe supposed to be a Panzer II, but at this scale it looks kind of silly. Those are pretty cute. Well, I'm now going to try and get them back here, and that's the hard part, because they're not all sized the same. Okay. Well, they're not making it in. Then we have these infantry style units, which it looks like they've printed a little row of these, and then they've glued 3 rows in, so they're kind of 2D a little bit, but you put them out, and those are your army marching units, and you're using these units to kind of do the advances. Then the rest of the units, which is kind of the bulk of the game, is trucking and training supplies up. So you've got your trucks of your different colors, and these are great. You got little Opel Blitzes. Then you've got these staff cars as well. Again, all in a different player colors. Those are wonderful. Let me keep those separate. And then you've got the trains. The trains is like the most memorable part of this from when we played this prototype a long time ago. I've got these German trains. And these are all the same. But you're limited on how many that you have. But basically, you're walking your troops up, and the foot soldiers are very slow. The tanks are much faster, and so you get the little bit blitzkrieg stuff. So you're moving your units up, and then more ground they take, you can use trucks to supply them to a certain extent. But the further you go, the more you have to train the supplies to the trucks, and then use the trucks to get them to your units. And so you get into like the massive strategic and operational levels of supply of the different levels. And it's extremely, extremely cool because you need supplies to keep your offensives going and to keep the momentum going. And then it looks like we've got here some defensive kind of thing. Yeah, it's like an anti-tank bunker. So that, you know, some cards are going to be like, oh, you put out these anti-tank bunkers just to like mess up your rival's advance, and so they'll have to turn and defeat those. We've got these wooden crates. These are your kind of ammunition supplies. And then we have our foodstuff supplies, which are these kind of grain sacks. It's like a pile of sacks. You got to be able to feed the troops. You got to have the troops to do offensives. The ammunition to have your troops do offensives. And then obviously you have these oil barrels that you have to be able to move the stuff in the first place. So this isn't a traditional war game in the sense that it's like, oh, I'm fighting you. You know, you're both trying to reach your objective first to, I don't know, curry favor and be the best field marshal that there is, I guess. But it's a very, very neat system. If you've played the original one, this kind of steps it up a notch with the extra layers of building the railroads in it. And I felt like in this one, the Russian army is a bit more like, yeah, the Soviet army, the Red Army is a bit more. They do a bit more. There's a bit more variables in how they attack and the different level, you know, types of defenses that they've got. Just a little bit extra on top of what you've got in Race to the Rhine. But this is Race to Moscow. It's a very, very cool game. Not really a war game though. It's a different style of game. Technically, it is like almost purely a logistics game. But because you're racing against opponents, it really you feel the pressure of that. And as a game system, that's really neat. Is to be able to sit in a historical situation and feel pressure and incentivized to like do your logistics properly and efficiently so you can do it as quickly as possible. I think it's a really neat way of doing things. And again, Phalanx's production's off the charts. You'll have to see it. I really, really like any game that's got historical photos in it. Really just helps to, you know, it's evocative, and these ones have all been colorized. That's, you know, it's that extra step, which I really, really appreciate. So if you're interested, check it out. This is 1941 Race to Moscow from Phalanx. Appreciate you tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.